Hey there and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for another video here on Chronically Overdressed. Today I want to share with you some tips I have for staying warm in the wintertime when you're wearing your vintage style outfits. For me, mostly dresses and skirts, and still looking cute while doing it. So I am originally from San Diego, which obviously is a much warmer climate and doesn't really have winters. So it took me a little while. Once I moved from the West Coast to the East Coast, it took me a little while to really understand and figure out how to not only dress just in general for winter, but how can I incorporate some of these ideas and layering techniques and stuff with my vintage style wardrobe. So once I moved from California, I actually moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, and then eventually moved up to Baltimore, and then we moved over to Germany. And while I was in Germany, I visited many different countries and very cold climates. During the winter, we like to go to some of the Christmas markets. We spent some time in Sweden and in France. And so that really gave me an opportunity to learn how to kind of layer my clothing and what best ways I could stay warm when outside and in those colder temperatures, and still look really cute doing it. Before we get started, I do want to say I absolutely do not want you to sacrifice your safety or your comfort for style. These tips have worked well for me in the climates that I have been in. And if you live somewhere where it is considerably colder, I urge you to, dress for those climates. Do not sacrifice any of your comfort and safety for the sense of style. You need to stay warm. You need to stay, happy and healthy. So these tips may not work for you if you do live in a colder climate. So again, these are just some of the things that I learned living in the climates that I have experienced. So we all know that the best way to stay warm in the winter is to layer your clothing. And this is exactly what people have done for centuries. Even during the eras of fashion that we all love, people were layering their undergarments and figuring out ways to, to stay warm and still be able to wear their beautiful fashionable clothes. Layers are really great too if you know that you're going to be doing activities that mean that you're going inside and outside. If there's a way that you can take off that outer layer, not just your coat, but like if you are wearing a cardigan or some sort of jacket, you can layer that way so you're not sweating and dying indoors. For me, when it comes to layers, I would rather choose quality over quantity. I don't want a lot of big bulky layers for myself. It's very uncomfortable for me and I don't like that. So I will choose quality pieces as my under layers that are going to keep me nice and warm and hold in my body heat rather than just, have these really big bulky items under. So as you're layering your clothes, obviously you're going to have your first layer of your undergarments. And then I always like to have some sort of either a silk camisole or a silk slip. Silk is fantastic for holding in body heat. And it's really, really light and delicate and thin. I use these little camisoles from Land's End, and they're so amazing. They're 100% silk, and I think they're pretty inexpensive. I think they're about $50 or so. And I have these camisoles as well as long sleeve shirts. They also do have a kind of a long johns with, that you can wear under trousers or even under tights. But silk is fantastic because it's It's so lightweight, it doesn't even feel like you have anything on, but it is so warm. It keeps you incredibly warm. It's very insulating, but it also lets your body breathe. So, you know, you're not gonna sweat in it. It's just gonna keep you really nice and warm. And having that on as the layer that's closest to your body is going to make a huge difference in just keeping that core area really nice and warm. So the next layer would be some sort of slip or even a petticoat. I really like these cotton petticoats. I'm not a big fan of the big bulky petticoats, especially since my style tends to be more 1930s, 1940s. So I'm using this more as a slip underneath, but because it's cotton and it does have a little bit of volume to it, it kind of creates this insulating factor around my legs and my lower body. So I really like these. This is from a company from Etsy. I'll leave their description down below. And they do a lot of different sizes. They go up pretty high in their size range, and they do custom sizing as well. So I really like these. It just helps to keep this, you know, that bottom part really nice and toasty, and that way, you know, gusts of wind and everything are not going up your skirt and making you cold. Another hint for this is to actually wear a skirt over a dress. I've done this several times where I have a like a shirt dress and I'll just put a skirt on over it. So I'm kind of using the dress part as the petticoat or as a slip underneath. Just adds another extra layer of warmth there for you. And the next layer would be some sort of a cardigan or a light jacket. You can wear this over a blouse and a skirt or over a dress. And I'm a huge fan of Emmy Design, of course. Their cardigans are fantastic. But like this here is a Target sweater, a Target cardigan. So you really want to look for something that's wool or like a nice, thick, heavy cotton. That's going to keep you the warmest. So obviously you're going to layer that over your dress or your blouse. And that just really, again, is going to create that insulation between you and the elements. And how do you keep your legs nice and warm if you're wearing a dress or a skirt? So tights are the way to go. There's so many different kinds of tights out there. If you can get your hands on those fleece line tights, those are fantastic. I bought a few in Germany. I haven't found any here in the US that are really great for plus size. So if you have a source for those, please let me know in the comments. But yes, fleece line tights are wonderful. You can even double up on your tights if you want to. I've done that several times where I've had, you know, a nice pair of regular, pretty thick tights, and then I'll put on another like lighter pair on top. Another great tip is finding ice skater tights. And I have found a couple of brands on Amazon that sell these for plus sizes, but they are a little bit harder to find in plus size. But ice skater tights are spectacular because they are obviously made for colder weather. You're ice skating. They're really thick. They don't come in a lot of colors. They usually come in, you know, like maybe a black, a brown, or like a beige color. But those are great. They really do insulate and they keep your legs super warm. You can also put your tights on over a pair of leggings or a pair of like long underwear. This works really well if you're wearing a boot that comes up to your ankle, because then it hides that dividing line. But that's a really another great tip to just put your tights on, especially if you like to wear colored tights, anything that, you know, has a beautiful bright color. You can just put those on over your long underwear or a pair of leggings. And then whatever your outfit's going to be, choosing the right kind of fabric is going to make a huge difference. So with my dresses or skirts, I tend to go for a heavier cotton, wool. I wear a lot of wool, tweed, flannel, gabardine. Those nice, really heavy fabrics are going to just add to that layer once again. And then of course your most outer layer is your coat or your jacket. I know for myself sometimes I really hate to cover up my my outfit. So I will, if I'm wearing a brooch underneath on my regular clothes, I'll make sure that I put a brooch on my coat as well, just to kind of create that as part of my outfit. And then, you know, wearing your gloves, your scarves, and that's another way that you can again add to just the beautifulness of your outfit, is either matching your gloves and scarves or kind of creating contrasting colors in that way. And when wearing your gloves and scarves, make sure that you put those on indoors before you've gone outside. That really does help to kind of keep that that warmth inside. If you put your gloves on when you're outside and your hands are already cold, it's going to take so much longer for your poor little hands to warm up. So make sure that you put all of that stuff on inside before you go out. And last but not least, headwear. We do lose some heat out of the tops of our heads, so keeping your head covered is going to help a lot with just keeping that internal temperature up. Hats that are made out of a heavier fabric are best. Berets are another really great option because most of the time they are made out of wool, so it really does help to keep that heat in. But one of my favorite things is to actually wear a turban, because not only does it cover your head, but you can pull the sides down and actually cover your ears a little bit. And that can prove to be very, very helpful, just to keep your ears covered, especially if you are outside a lot in the cold. Your poor little ears just get so cold, and that can ruin everything. So I love turbans just to kind of bring those sides down to cover my ears. Well, I hope these tips help you to stay nice and cozy and allow you to get out a bit more during this season. I know we all tend to stay indoors, but it's really good and healthy for us to just get outside, get some fresh air, hopefully get some sun during these long winter days. So I hope that this helps you. And I'd love to hear from you if there's any other tips that you have for staying warm in your climate. Leave a comment below and let me know how you stay nice and cozy. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please be sure to subscribe so you can enjoy more of my content. Thanks again, and I will see you soon. Bye.